Welcome back, night souls. The candle is still burning. You found your way back to the dark? Good. This is the Midnight Candles, Episode 4. Tonight, we are going back. Back to a hotel that still stands. Back to a room that still has the same number on the door. Back to a name that belonged to no one. Headphones on, lights off. And please, do not say this name out loud. Some names should stay quiet. Because tonight's story takes us to January 2nd, 1935. To the 10th floor of the Hotel President in Kansas City, Missouri. A room that still has no explanation. Room 1046. It is winter. The Great Depression is grinding into its 5th year. People do not travel without a reason. People do not check into hotels without bags. People do not pay for a room in cash in advance without giving an address. But on this particular Wednesday afternoon, a man does all three. A man walks into the lobby of the Hotel President, mid-20s, maybe early 30s, well-dressed, calm. He carries no luggage, none at all. He gives the front desk a name. Roland T. Owen. He pays in cash. He doesn't ask for help with bags because there are no bags. The clerk hands him a key. Room 1046. 10th floor. End of the hall. Roland T. Owen takes the key. He smiles. He turns. He walks to the elevator. That is the last time anyone will see him standing. The maid the next morning lets herself in to clean. The room is dark. The curtains are drawn. The man is sitting in a chair, in the dark, fully dressed. She says, "Good morning, sir." He does not answer. She tries again. "Good morning, sir," he says finally. "I am fine, just leave the towels." His voice is calm, too calm. The maid leaves. But she notices something. The room is too cold. The window is shut. There is no draft. And yet, the room is too cold. She also notices the bed. It has not been slept in. The sheets are still tight. Hospital corners, untouched. But the chair has been pulled away from the wall, pulled into the center of the room, facing the door, facing whoever might come in. That night, the phone operator on duty receives an unusual call. A man asks her to put a call through to room 1046. She tries. The line is busy, she tells him. He laughs, a short, ugly laugh. He says, "That is strange. There is no phone in that room," but there is. There absolutely is. The next day, January 3rd, the operator hears something on the line. A switchboard in 1935 was a strange thing. You could listen sometimes by accident if a wire crossed. She hears two voices coming from room 1046, a man's voice and another voice, lower, calmer. The lower voice says, "You are not going anywhere." The other voice answers, "Please, please, no." The lower voice says, again, "You are not going anywhere. The line goes dead." January 4th, morning. A maid finds the door to room 1046 locked. From the outside, the deadbolt has been turned. The chain has been set from the outside. She reports it. The manager comes up. He uses the master key. What he finds inside room 1046, he never fully describes. Not in his lifetime, not in interviews, not in writing. What he says is this. He says, "Mr. Owen was on the bed, bound. There was blood. There was a great deal of blood. And there were marks. There were marks on his head. There were marks on his neck. There were marks on his wrists. And there were marks on the walls. The marks on the walls were not blood. They were not made by the man on the bed. They were higher. They were organized. Roland T. Owen is taken to the hospital. He is alive. Barely. He cannot speak. He cannot answer questions. He cannot give his name. He dies the next day. January 5th, 1935. While he is in the hospital dying, a woman calls. A woman the staff has never spoken to before. She doesn't give her name. She says, "Only this." She says, "Is he going to live?" The nurse says, "We do not know. Who is calling, please?" The woman repeats her question, "Is he going to live?" The nurse repeats hers, "Who is calling?" The woman hangs up. She never calls back. She is never identified. Now, listen, because here is where the story gets quieter, and quieter is worse. Roland T. Owen is buried in Memorial Park Cemetery. His funeral is paid for in advance in cash by a sender who refuses to be named. The sender sends a note. The note is short. The note says, "Love forever. Cousin Eleanor." There is no cousin Eleanor. The flowers arrive. The note is read at the service. And then the woman, the man, the family, no one ever surfaces. No one. Weeks pass. The case grows cold. Then in 1937, a tourist in another state sees a photograph of Roland T. Owen in a magazine. She recognizes him. She says, "That is not Roland T. Owen. That man is Artemus Ogletree. He is from Birmingham, Alabama. He left home years ago. He sent his mother letters from California, from Egypt, from Cairo." The handwriting in those letters with Judge Dub was not his. The mother is contacted. She confirms the man in room 1046 was her son, but the letters that came after he died, the letters that said, "Do not look for me, mother, I am fine," those letters, postmarked after his funeral, someone somewhere kept writing in his name to his mother after he was buried, and there is more. Investigators learned that just before he checked into the hotel president, Artemus had been seen in another hotel in Kansas City. He had checked in there too, under a different name. He had been arguing with a man in the lobby, a tall man, calm, polite, a man no one could later describe. And in another city, weeks before that, Artemus had been seen with a woman, a small woman, dark hair. The witnesses said she did most of the talking. They said her voice was lower than you would expect. The case is closed. Officially, there is no suspect. There is no motive. There is no explanation. There is only room 1046, and room 1046 is still there. You can book it today. The hotel president still operates. The room still rents. The bed has been replaced. The carpet has been replaced. The walls have been painted many times, but the room number on the door has never changed. 1046. Some guests over the years have asked to switch rooms. Some have left in the middle of the night. Some have said they heard on the phone voices that were not on the phone. A man's voice and another voice, lower, calmer. The lower voice says, "Always. You are not going anywhere." Roland T. Owen never existed. Artemus Ogletree was never explained. Cousin Eleanor was never found. And the letters, postmarked from cities he was no longer alive to visit, were never traced. The hotel president still stands. Room 1046 is still there. And somewhere, in a register from 1935, a name still rests on a piece of paper. A name that should have been buried with the man who used it. A name that belonged to no one. That is all the file gives us, Night Souls. That is the last line of the last page. No conclusion, no suspect, no answer. Just a room and a door with a number that has never changed. We began tonight going back. So let us go back one final time to where it all ended. Room 1046 is still there. The hotel president still stands. And the register from 1935 still shows his name. Roland T. Owen. a name that belonged to no one. If you want more stories like this one, you know where to find me. The candle is always lit. Follow the midnight candles. New story. Every week, always in the dark.